We want to make sure everybody can hear me. So if you send us a quick message saying I can hear or got it, that will let us know that you're out there and that we are not having any technical difficulties. Okay, so everybody can hear us. We're going to get started. So I want to make sure that you all know that your microphones are on mute.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, so now we're going to get started. We're going to ask you to shoot us a quick message that you can hear so that we know that there's no technical difficulty or we're not muted at the moment. So why don't you do that, and I'm going to go over a few notes. So you are on mute right now. However, you can type in questions at any time. We'll pause to take those questions as they come in. A recording of this webinar will be posted on our grant making page within a couple of days. Michelle sent a handout to everybody, and that was emailed before the session. If you are on this call and you didn't register, then Michelle did not send it to you. So if you need a handout, please send a message to Michelle, and she'll send it to you just for your reference after this call. In the meantime, you can just follow on the PowerPoint. Or it's online. And it is online. And then lastly, please be aware that we are logged in as one user, and so Michelle and I are sharing the screen, so we may have a little delay as we transition between segments or as we are collecting questions and sharing them out to you. All right, but the name on the screen is not going to change for you, so we don't want to confuse you. Which leads me to who's on the call on the program staff. My name is Sandra Flores. I am the Senior Program Officer for the Fresno Regional Foundation, and also assisting me today is Michelle Murphy. She is in the conference room with me. Kelvin will join us in a little bit to help with one of the segments of this PowerPoint presentation. And we comprise the competitive grant making staff. We will field your questions and help process org cards and applications during all the competitive grant cycles. A little bit about the Fresno Regional Foundation. We are a 501c3 community foundation. We have been serving the central San Joaquin Valley since 1966. Next year will be our 50th anniversary. Our regional footprint includes Merced, Mariposa, Madera, Fresno, Kings, and Tulare counties. That covers about 17,000 square miles of the central San Joaquin Valley and represents about 2 million people in population. We have 5 competitive grant cycles. They include arts and culture, youth, which this year will focus on college readiness, access, and attendance. We also have teen pregnancy prevention, high impact, and the environment. And the teen pregnancy prevention and the youth grant cycles are running concurrently this year. Okay, we're going to do a poll, I believe, and so we just want to get a sense of who's out there. How many of you out there that this will be the first time you're applying to the Fresno Regional Foundation? So do a quick response. The poll is open. We're getting responses. Okay, a few more seconds. Okay, so we are at 29% of you, this is going to be the first time applying to the foundation. All right, and 71% of you, you are veterans at this. Okay, so the next one is what funding scenario are you applying to? We have two areas, one for program and one for planning. So why don't you give us a sense of what you're looking to apply for? Program or planning grants? Give you a few seconds. All right. So we have 21% of you first time, or 17% first time, and then 14% for planning grants, and the majority for program grants. Yes. Okay. I'd like to know whether you are serving rural or urban, or both. So I'll give you a few seconds to weigh in. Let's see. So a few more seconds. Where are we? So we're at about 63% of you are rural, okay, and 38% are both. We don't have anybody who's just focused on urban. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. And then this is our last question. Do you have a Flex account? Okay, so if you have applied to the foundation before using Olga, that's a different system. We have a new system, Flex, and we want to know if you have a Flex account, not an Olga account. So you can change your answers if you need to. Oh, we've got half and half. Half of you have a Flex account, great, and the other half do not. Okay, thank you. That helps us know who's in the audience. So today, our agenda is direct. We're going to go over the goals to fund for the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Grant Cycle. We will go over reporting requirements. We will talk you through how to apply, give you some final tips, and then, of course, take questions. We'll take them at the end, but you can submit them anytime during this presentation, and when we accumulate a few, we'll pause and we'll take the questions. All right, so Teen Pregnancy Prevention, here we go with the goals to fund. The Fresno Regional Foundation will be awarding approximately $300,000 in grants for teen pregnancy prevention in Fresno, Tulare, Madera, Merced, Kings, and Mariposa counties. There are two types of grants that will be offered, a program grant and planning grants. We're going to go over the program grants first. The program grants will fund programs that provide reproductive health services, comprehensive sexuality education, and they may also include youth development initiatives aimed at reducing teen pregnancy prevention. Youth development initiatives should demonstrate working with young people and their families in such a way that allows them to develop leadership skills. These grants will focus support to organizations offering teen pregnancy prevention programs that are comprehensive, medically accurate, and provide access or referrals to clinical services. Okay, these are 2-year grants, and we'll go over the ranges in a bit, but they're going to be $50,000 to $100,000 over 2 years. So the eligibility criteria for the program grants include medically accurate, comprehensive, and free from bias. The programs must be gender appropriate. They must be culturally, linguistically competent for target populations. They must provide referrals to a family planning service provider as evidenced by a letter of cooperation with the service provider. And the programs must be using curriculum that is evidence-based, and we provided links so that you can see what evidence-based curriculums meet this standard. Again, these elements must all be included in the 2-year program grants. If your curriculum is not on the list, you should give me a call, and you should send me the curriculum that you want to use. We will discuss this with the advisory committee, and they will weigh in on whether the curriculum meets the level of evidence-based standard that we are using. So if your curriculum is not on the list, send me all the details, give me a call so I can make sure I have all the information so that I could forward it to our Teen Pregnancy Prevention Advisory Committee. Now, the selection criteria. These items will cause the applicant's proposal to receive a higher ranking. These are for planning grants, planning and program grants. So programs that have a service provider referral system developed. So we require you to have one service provider for referrals if you are not providing the clinical services. But if you have others, that's going to increase the strength of your proposal, and we'll give it a higher ranking. Also, programs that have a youth development focus that involve parents or significant adults, that define outcomes well. We'd like to hear or read about the sustainability of the program. If you're partnering with other organizations doing related work, if you have knowledge of other organizations doing related work, the organization's long-standing deep knowledge of the community will also cause your proposal to rank higher. The organization's impact on long-term community change as it pertains to youth and their families. The financial health of the applying organization. If it is a strong, healthy organization, that will increase your ranking of the proposal. Grant-specific budgets, those budgets that are clear and match the narratives. If the selected curriculum was modified, please indicate how it was modified. So information and the rationale for the modification. If you include information in your proposal, this will cause it to receive a higher ranking. And it is important to provide clarity on why this intervention was chosen for the targeted population. And we encourage the proposals to have a high impact and outcome focus. So that's the selection criteria. All right, let's go to the planning grants. The focus of the planning grants. Planning grants may fund planning, training and development of staff and or volunteers, training and education of evidence-based curriculum, gender-appropriate training and education for staff and volunteers, parent engagement programs, and or peer outreach teams. This is the focus of the planning grant. All right, so planning grants. These grants are intended to support organizations to develop teen pregnancy prevention programming by using culturally relevant approaches, purchasing evidence-based curriculum, training the staff, identifying and partnering with clinic services, activities to support the implementation of the programming. So where in the planning there is a threshold that must be met, that there has to be a referral process to access clinical services. Here, this is not required, but we want to see you develop those partnerships with the clinic so that clinical services can in the future be provided. This is to help get organizations prepared for a full 2-year program grant. The selection criteria for the planning grants include programs that have a service provider referral system. It's being developed, have a youth development focus, involve parents or significant adult, and also define outcomes well. The criteria is similar to the program, I think, in all aspects. So the selection criteria is listed on our website and in your handout. I won't repeat it for this webinar for the sake of time. So the amounts, duration, and the geography. So again, we have $300,000 total available for organizations serving Fresno, Merced, Madera, Tulare, and Kings County. The ranges for the program grants are $50,000 to $100,000 over 2 years. So if you select $50,000, that's going to be $25,000 a year. If you select $100,000, it'll be $50,000 a year. The planning grants are 1 year, and they range from $20,000 to $25,000. Okay, you must select one funding scenario. You have to select either program or planning. You cannot select both. The timeline for this grant cycle, the org card deadline, which is the replacement for our OPF, is due June 5th, 2015 at 5 p.m. The application deadline is June 19th, 2015 at 5 p.m. The applicants will be notified if they were awarded after our August board meeting, and our August board meeting is August 11th. Please allow 2 weeks or so. By the end of August, we will notify all grantees. The grants reception it's slated right now. We have a date held for August 26th, and the final report for these grants, if it's a 2-year grant, it'll be August 31st, 2016. If it is a 1-year grant, it'll be, if it's a 1-year grant at 2016, if it's a 2-year grant, it'll be August 31st, 2017. All right, I'm going to take a moment to see if we have any questions because we don't see anything here, but I do want to make sure that that was clear. All right, everybody is on the same page, right? Okay, so let's go on to requirements in applying to the foundation. All right, FRF eligibility includes, we will give grants to community benefit organizations or 501c3 organizations. They have to have the tax status of a 501c3 organization. We will give grants to government agencies. We will give grants to individuals or community groups with a fiscal agent. We will give grants to public agencies, educational institutions, and services or programs provided in one or more of the geographic areas of Fresno, Madera, Tulare, Merced, Mariposa, and Kings County. So that is our regional footprint, and so we are providing resources for programs serving those counties. Okay. The financial health of an organization is measured by the IRS 990, the most recent board-reviewed internal financial statements, the balance sheet or the income statement. If last fiscal year's gross receipts were more than $500,000, then we require an external audit, an independent external audit. We know that the feds are changing the threshold to $750,000. We will modify this threshold in 2016, but in 2015, so that means last year in 2014, if your gross receipts were more than $500,000, we do require an independent external audit. Let's see, we also measure the health of an organization by reviewing the operational budget for the organization. We are interested in the board composition and and hope to see that it reflects diverse experiences and backgrounds. And we do require a minimum of 5 board members on the organization's board. And again, this is on the website and in your handout. Grant restrictions. So Fresno Regional Foundation will not consider grant requests for the following. So we will not award a grant for previously incurred expenses, fundraising by one agency on behalf of another. We won't give grants for endowments through the competitive grant making. We won't give grants to institutions limiting their services to persons of a single religious sect or denomination. And we will not give grants, competitive grants, to individuals. Okay. Are we still good with any questions? Because we don't see any coming in. All right. We will go to the next segment. So we're going to go over reporting requirements. So we encourage all applicants to review the final report form before you apply. So once you get your Flex login, and we'll go over that in the next segment, one of the first things we encourage you to do is to take a look at the final report, and we've put it in a link in the front end of the process so that you can get you can see the PDF of the final report. Organizations must be prepared to comply with all reporting requirements at the end of the grant period. Failure to submit the final report may disqualify the grantee from future funding requests. Also, you will be asked to provide electronic copies of press releases and/or media contacts resulting from the grant award. We also welcome photos, newsletters, mailing list, and for you to share your success throughout the year as we progress towards the final report. So we don't want to just hear from you at the end of this grant. We'd like to get updated, and please include us in any invitations or presentations of your programs. If we can make them, we will certainly attend. And then lastly, we use this information to increase your profile in the community by highlighting your great work to the community, donors, and other funders. Okay. I'm going to pause there before we get into steps to apply. I can't believe we don't have any questions. This is going to be a first. All right. Well, steps to apply. Here we go. So FRF has transitioned to a new grant-making system called Flex. Flex provides greater ease of access to grant seekers and provides greater sophistication than Olga was able to provide. So here are the 3 things we're going to go over today. We're going to go over creating an account in Flex, and so we know the majority, I think we saw half of you don't have a Flex account. We will go over updating your organization's org card, and then we will go over complete the grant request. So we'll go over a few of the questions, few of the highlights of the system. So if you have not, so half of you do not have a Flex account, so you have to create a Flex account. We did not migrate the accounts over, so your username and passwords were not migrated from Olga into Flex. So you have to create a username and password. So let's go to the website, I think. Yes, and Michelle is going to help me on this portion.
So on our homepage, there's a few places where you can log in for Flux. Up at the top right-hand corner, we have a Flux login available here. Or you can also go onto our grant making page where you will, if you go to the Teen Pregnancy Prevention page, you will be able to view the goals to fund in the handout that we just went over earlier in the presentation. Or you can sign in for the Flux account login right here. So there's a few things when we get into the intro of this landing portal. For those of you who have not registered for an account, as Sandra mentioned, your usernames and passwords will not work from the ones that you used with Olga in Flux. So you may request an account here, and the items in bold are required in order for you to submit your registration. However, we do recommend you fill out the complete form as it will be used in your org card later. Here's the information we request for the primary contact, and then your CEO information, and then you can submit. It will take about 24 to 48 hours for the program staff to review the registrations and to approve them and link them to your organization's information. Back on the landing page, we have a reset or create password. If you click that, the email that you use to set up your account, you will add that in here and it will reset your password. So now we will log in. And this is what the grant making portal looks like from your end as applicants. Here we have information, grantee home. This provides some brief information as to Flux. The users, my profile, this is where you can also update any of your profile information and password account. Under my organizations, this is where you will find your org card. If you click on this, this will take you to the org card, which I will do in just a second after I finish explaining what the rest of the items are right here. We have your requests. Down below is the button to open a new request, and after you save that request, it'll be found in the drafts portion right here. Once it is submitted to the program for review, it will be found in the submitted section. And then if you have a declined request, you can find it here, and this will have information for feedback from one of the program officers following the grant cycle. If you were funded, you will find your active grants located here, and any completed grants that your organization has with the foundation will be found here. The completed grants will have an accepted report that has been filed, and the active grants will all have a report that it will be due at the end of the grant. So back, let's go to the org card. This will be due on June 5th. It's the first step in applying for the Teen Pregnancy Prevention and the Youth Grant Cycle if you're applying for both. On this homepage of the org card, let me direct you to the top buttons up here. Right here, when you go into edit, you will click that. If you would like to print it, you can do that, and sometimes we know that people use the printable version so they can work on the draft in Word before copying and pasting it into the final version. Once you are done editing and ready to submit, you will click this button right here, and it will be sent to the program officers for review. We're going to go into edit. There's a few items I would like to show you right here. The org card review status. Let's actually back out. So right here is your org card review status, and what this means is that there are different statuses that your org card will be in. As you're working on it, it will stay in this new org card, but once you submit it for program review, it will go into org card under review. This section is really important because prior to you submitting your application, your org card needs to be approved. Following once you submit, the program staff will send you an email whether there are edits that are needed or if it is accepted. You will also find notes of any edits that the program officers have in this section right here. They will also be included in an email if you have any edits that are needed to your org card in order to be approved. In the edit mode, everything in this org card is required to be accepted. However, there are some items that are in bold, like the primary contact, that should be automatically loaded. And all of these questions are similar to what we had in Olga. Let me direct you to the fiscal agent information. If you are using a fiscal agent, you are required to submit their information as well as all financial documents. On the last page of the handout, you will find a list of items that are needed to be submitted in order to have an approved OR card. Let me direct you to also this orange box right here. All of the orange boxes are meant to provide additional information as you are filling out the OR card. We also have questions like this: what if my organization does not have any paid staff? With answers to those questions. These are frequently asked, so we decided to put them in the OR card during the process. Now we're going to scroll down. And here's the 990 information. When you click on the 990, you'll be able to have a list of what we are requesting, and we also have a place where you can find the information located on your specific 990 form. Here is the table that I was referencing to. This is on the last page of your handout. And then down at the bottom, this is where you will submit all of the attachments. You can click this green button here, and here you can go to Add Files and download anything that is on your drive and all the requested documents. Let me do a test one here. Here you will find how we classify the items. Please, if this is a 990, please put that it's a 990 form. It'll keep it nice and clean as we're reviewing everything. And then once you're done, you'll click Save. And then once it's saved, you'll click Submit Annual Report or Annual OR Card, and that will go in for review. When you go to click the New Request button, this is where you can start on your application. We do have a little bit of a firewall right here. We are really trying to reiterate that you need to have an approved OR card in order to apply. If you do not have one, it will indicate here exactly what I just referenced to. And if you want to skip over it, if your OR card is in process, you can also click Yes to see the application in full. Just like in the OR card, we will have a section if there are any edits that are needed for your application. You can write. You will see them here. Following the submission of the application. And then once the application has been reviewed by the committee, there will be feedback posted right there. Once again, here we have a few items that are required in order to save. All of the questions are required in order to submit, but in order to save for the first time and continuously after that, you need to have the grant cycle selected and the grant description. So to say this is a test. The amount requested, and the amount requested is important for a few reasons, but one is that it will generate additional questions if the amount requested is over $10,000. And given the grant ranges for this grant cycle, all of them will be required to answer additional questions. So if I click Save, it has now been updated. I'll click back into Edit and scroll down. And these questions, this will be automatically generated from your org card. It's just some organization information that we like to provide to the committee. And then these questions are similar to what we asked in Olga. When you click Yes, if your program is engaging parents, we request additional information. We realize that these will be estimates for the application, but we will be asking for you to collect this data in the final reports if you are funded. And if you are working with any school sites, you can list them here. When we get into the project narratives, these are the questions that we will be asking. For the what is your plan, what are you trying to achieve? I just want to point out that the committee that will be reviewing this is very knowledgeable in this area and realizes the issue of teen pregnancy in the Central Valley. So we recommend not using 4 paragraphs to state the issue, but really what is your plan for your community and for your program. We also have a final report question. As Sandra indicated during the presentation, the final report is very important for the foundations when we are reporting back to larger foundations and to donors. So we ask, if you have not reviewed the final report, please click no. You can go to the link to review the final report. If you click yes, we'll just have a question asking how you will collect that information. Here are the additional questions for those that are requesting over $10,000. And then again, here we have the request documents for the application. There is only one item that needs to be added, which is the budget. For the budget, you can actually download it up at the top of the application. Let me open it. Uh-oh. One second, let me get this over here. Sorry for the technical difficulty.
Just a couple of things while Michelle gets that budget up. The org card needs to be submitted once per calendar year. So the only organizations ready to go for 2015 are all those organizations who applied to our Arts and Culture grant cycle. So if you have not applied to the foundation or started your org card this year, in this 2015 calendar year, then you need to update your org card or create it. The other encouragement I give you is to do not wait to create your Flex username and password. I would encourage you right after this webinar to go to Flex and create your username and password. We had information sessions yesterday, 2 of them. We had our youth one earlier today, and so this will make our 4th information session. We are getting them. We're getting organizations submitting them, so that's why it's not going to just take an hour for us to start this process. So please give us 24 hours to 48 hours to process your Flex request. So those are my 2 points, and then back to Michelle.
All right, so I was able to get the budget up. In here, you'll see there's an organization name. Please put your organization in here. We also have a button where you can clear the information, so all of this will be blank. Here we have a rows for year 1 and year 2. If you are applying for the 2-year program grant, it will be required in both of these to have the line items. Let me also direct you to the financial history page. Since all of these grants will be requesting amounts larger than $10,000, this page is also required. Now, we do realize that there is some duplication with this and what we asked in the org card, but here we are trying to provide a snapshot view for the committee when they are reviewing. We also provide the items where you can find them on the 990s on this page. For 2015 and 2016, we realize those will be projections. The best estimate will work great. What you will see here is this is automatically generated for the committee. If there are any variances larger than 30%, we do ask for you to provide a brief description as to why the variance was caused. And with that, we will go back over. And once you're ready to submit, you will click submit, and then that will be in for the program to review. Again, like Sandra said, we will have both the org card and the application. They will be processed by the program committee before it is sent to the committee for review. So please be on the lookout for emails from one of the program staffs following your submission.
Okay, so before we get into final tips for Flex, I do want to share with everyone that the top applications in this grant cycle will receive site visits. So only 2 grant cycles that we oversee does site visit go with the application review. and this is one of those grant cycles. So the committee will gather to review the submitted applications. They will select the top applicants. Those site visit dates are set for, I believe, July, and they are posted on the website. As soon as Michelle finishes, she's replying to a question here. We'll go to the website so we can see the exact date. But these applications will receive, the top ones will receive a site visit. There we go. If you go to the grant making page or tab, go to teen pregnancy prevention, and those dates are July 21st and July 22nd. Now, if you are selected for a site visit, you will be notified in plenty of time. If July 20th comes along and you have not been called, that means you did not get selected. So please understand that in this type of process, we are trying to be as transparent as possible without complicating a review process and a formal recommendation to our board. So we have set the dates for the site visit so everybody is prepared for them in the event that you're selected as a top applicant. But if you are not notified, I would say a couple of weeks before, we will give plenty of time to schedule those site visits. If it's the day or 2 days before and you haven't heard from us, it's because you were not selected for the site visit. All right, let's go over some final tips. This is straightforward. It's in your handout. The orange boxes in Flex provide instructions and information. The yellow boxes provide frequently or address frequently asked questions. All the fields are required in order for you to apply. Fields in bold are required to save. That's the distinction. We encourage you to save often. There is a print to PDF button for your convenience. Please be mindful of it. When prompted to type in a numerical value, only use numbers. Do not use symbols, please. And in the request, so this is going to the application request, the budget template is required. Please download our template and do not use your own. In regards to the org card update, it's required, as I mentioned, once per calendar year. So beginning January 1 of 2015, it has to be updated. And again, in reference to the org card, if you use a fiscal agent, you must submit the information and financial documents about your fiscal agent and also about your organization. So there is a little additional request for those organizations using fiscal agents. Also, please give yourself plenty of time to complete all of the application, the org card and the application. I will also add that once you log in, that's a timestamp, so we can actually see and know when you're working on your org card or your application. So please give yourself plenty of time and do not call us hours before a deadline in urgent crisis mode because you haven't submitted and you haven't given enough time to submit completely. And for the best experience, use Google Chrome. Okay, now I'm going to pause again for questions. Do we have any questions? All right, all right. Well, if there are no questions, we certainly look forward to this year's grant cycle, and I will extend the offer of reviewing any proposals or talking through any of your proposals. Just email me and copy Michelle so we can get it scheduled, of course. as we get closer to deadlines. Time will be limited. So please, if you want to talk through your projects and programs, give me a call in the next week or so we can schedule something and we can talk it through. There are no further questions or comments. We will close this webinar, and we look forward to supporting you and learning about the great programs that you are leading in your communities. All right, have a great afternoon. Bye.